and that, like, taking information, like, back to that spirituality thing, like, especially on social media and stuff. I mean, it has become a consumerism, like, where it's just, any meme will do, and it's kind of fast food consumption for regurgitation, but there's not a lot of actually living and walking it. And, to live, as a recovering person that has your own connection with your mystery spirit, God, whatever you
Mm-hmm.
want to name it, like, it is not all happy, happy, joy, joy. It is mostly fire and flames and a huge mess, you know,
Well, with that being said,
with
that's
moments of glory.
there is this truth that I have come to embrace, which
Hmm.
is if life was what we always dreamed it could be or might be, like this idea of heaven and hell, so, or paradise, for example,
Uh-huh.
there's these mystical states, and I'm going to be very cautious of the word I'm using here. There is these idealized states, right, of, there's heaven and there's hell, or there's paradise, or whatever the case may be. And if life was this beautiful, picturesque, rolling hills, frolicking with the animals, you know, paradise, running around in your underwear, okay,
Garden of Eden.
the Garden of Eden,
No
human
wonder.
beings get bored in nanoseconds.
Yeah, it is.
It's like this is the cosmic experience. Like, so there is this soul contract we sign, and like, okay,
Who do you
what do
sign
you?
it with?
Yeah, I don't know.
So, like, that's another thing we don't really know, because I had that thing of, like, what's the soul contract? Of course, we hope we have one, but, like, somebody wrote that in a book.
Yeah, no, no,
We
no. And
bought
and
it at,
again, it's language. It's
yeah,
language. All right. So we're
yeah,
using language best as we can to try and understand what we can't understand.
yeah.
Okay. But what keeps getting presented to me
Hmm.
continuously over time is that I wouldn't be the person that I am today if I had not had the experiences, then I didn't have the
Sure.
parents, I didn't take the journey, made the decisions, make the mistakes, okay, suffered and gone through the suffering and the pain and the loss of, these life's experiences in this journey, which some people would call the hero's journey,
Mhm.
to ultimately get to a place where I can fully appreciate, okay, being human, being alive, right? What does it mean to appreciate? What does it mean to be grateful, right? If everything's just kind of handed to me, do
Oh,
I
yeah.
have that same ability to be grateful and appreciative? Or does there have to be, and I you can challenge me on this. I would love to hear your opinion on this. But I believe that we all have to suffer at some point, right? Or we will never learn how to truly appreciate and be grateful for what we have.
Okay, so, yeah, I don't, like, that whole thing of, like, part of the physical expression of having an earth body that is a
Yes.
light body.
Yes.
Like, your body is a light body, your
Mhm.
earth body is a light body. It is filled with this conscious presence. Every single cell is
Mhm.
conscious and intelligent
Mhm.
and vibrating. Every single cell, it is vibrating with light and sound. And like, what did the Buddha say? Or one of the things is, pain is inevitable,
Mhm.
suffering is optional.
Yes.
And so, we all make choices,
Mhm.
because we just do, and we do it from the highest knowledge that we have at the time. Like, as you know, probably, wow, if I would have known that, I would have made a different choice,
Right,
but we
right.
make the
Woulda,
choice,
coulda, shoulda.
and then we can either take that experience that was either, easeful and joyful and felt good. We can take that as a blessing, or we can, like, oh, I was entitled. But, in
Take it
general,
for granted.
yeah, take it for
Mhm.
granted. Or if we make a choice that, oh, crashed and burned, or, we ended up having a really painful experience, we have the option to learn from it, you know, uh, or not, there's that thing, you walk down the same path. What we don't, when we get the lesson, it won't show up for us anymore. The addiction. I remember knowing, and part of this is, and these go back to some of the teachings that I learned from the yoga things. And part of addiction is wanting what you don't want anymore. When the thing has you,
Yes.
like,
Uh-huh. Yes.
like you get to a point. I mean, we've all been there. I've had my own little addictions my whole life, and still, have to kind of look at them. Um, where you're like, okay, I don't want to do this anymore. And then you find, oh, here I am again, whatever, smoking another cigarette, or, I want another drink, or whatever it is. So, back to the suffering. I don't know if we have to suffer to learn to appreciate. I know that an embodied life holds the whole spectrum
Yes.
of polarity. There is
Yes.
light and dark,
Yes.
and the only way to, we learn how to get through the dark parts and go to the light, but that it's a pendulum, and it's always going to swing the other way eventually. And so, um
Regardless of where you're at, this too shall pass. You
it
could be
will.
you could be in an incredibly, you know, best day ever, but this that at some point the pendulum's going to swing in the other direction. It's just
It
part
absolutely
of,
will.
and I think that too, I think it's part of that whole part of the journey is really learning how to manage expectations. And that when these moments come up that are painful and difficult, we immediately remember that we need to ground ourselves, okay, and go, okay, before I react, before I do something that could exasperate this situation, that I could potentially, if I don't take a moment to think about what my next move is going to be, I could make